The Coliseum back to its original 70s glory. What a scene in the East Bay. And we're underway in the John Madden legacy game. And he had no room to run as he's tackled down inside the 20. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden. This is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
Oh, he's going to air it out right away. So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And, you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. He played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon, and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft had 30 rounds then.
On first down, Favre completes it to the tight end, Kittle. But Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp, actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Norm Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings. And it was there, during that time, I think Coach Madden realized his love for football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, he began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach, the guy who could throw it around pretty well, Don Coryell.
And that's going to be caught. Touchdown NFC. Jerry Rice from a yard out. And the NFC takes it all the way down the field to score on their opening drive.
Jerry Rice in the end zone is a sight we are sure used to seeing. Not only does he have the most receiving touchdowns in NFL history, he was also the fastest to get to 100.
It took him, I think we've got it here, 120 games to get to 100. Just staggering.
A staggering number, but you have to remember with Jerry Rice, it wasn't just great hands. It wasn't speed. It was the collective, the work ethic to prepare, and the route running that was second to none.
So, Charles, as mentioned, we've got another Coach Madden over here on the AFC sideline. Of course, his Raiders, members of the AFC West. So this is a conference he battled in for his entire career. And you think about the landscape for the NFL as he was getting into the back half of his tenure. It was a golden era for coaches. You had Don Shula, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, Bud Grant. But it was John Madden who had the best winning percentage of them all, CD. 759, the best ever.
Brandon, it's hard to believe he could be so successful in a conference with all those great teams. The Steelers won 4 Super Bowls. The Dolphins won 2 and were a mainstay in the playoffs. The Colts were tough. The Broncos came on late and went to a Super Bowl themselves. But against Hall of Fame coaches, John Madden's record, 36, 16, and 2. That's pretty incredible. His Raiders were a factor each and every year.
One quarter in the books at the Coliseum. What a day. The NFC stars with the early lead in the John Madden legacy game on EA Sports. The AFC with a football here to begin the second quarter as they've got it with a 1st and 10. Now Brady. That one caught by Tyreek Hill. And they'll get him down as he's inside the 40. Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, 1967, Brandon, Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. We had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date with the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And what a ride he, the Raiders, and the NFL were about to go on.
It's a gain of 4, and it gets him the first. Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. So 10 seasons as a head coach. The Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times. And he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise leader in wins.
And when you think about it, that's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root. As did the expression, commitment to excellence. And boy, was it personified by the players who played for Coach Madden. On offense, how about quarterback Kenny Stabler, wide receiver Cliff Branch, wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, tight end Dave Casper, to name a few. How about those great linemen he had? Center Jim Otto, guard Gene Upshaw, tackle Art Shell, all of them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And guys on the defensive side of the ball, the Mad Stork himself, Ted Hendricks, Willie Brown, John Matuzak, Otis Sistrunk, and Big Ben Davidson. So many great players, so many great memories.
Well, when you've got a tight end who can run, you've got to give him a shot to unlock the defense. Want to see what they can get, taking the big shot downfield. That one winds up incomplete.
And this is caught. It's Brown. And he's brought down, but not before he reaches the 8-yard line. Now Brady. And that is caught for an AFC touchdown. Andre Reed from 8 yards out. And the AFC is an extra point away from tying this game up. And he just did get those feet in there on the side of the end zone. Well done.
Probably the exact size foot necessary, because I think if he had another half size, that catch doesn't count. And he's able to get it in, and it counts for a touchdown.
Vinatieri connecting on the extra point. And that is going to tie our game as we approach halftime. Each team's had it. Each team has scored. 7-7 here as the kick's away. And Hester content to hold on to this one and bring it out to the 25. The NFC offense coming out here. And you know, Charles, Coach Madden always said that if he had one drive to win a game and he had to pick a quarterback, he would pick Kenny Stabler. But I think if you asked him to omit any of his Raiders players, there's a good chance the guy he'd select would be Brett Favre.
Brett Favre is always smiling. He's always laughing. He's always talking to someone. He remembers that it's a game. And if it's a game, you should have fun.
And Brandon, that always reminds me of a great movie line where one of the players was telling the coach, every time I say it's a game, you say it's a business. And every time I say it's a business, you say it's a game. With Coach, it was always a game.
Now the NFC going to call the first of their 3 timeouts as they get the stoppage with a little over 50 seconds to go in the first half. So the big play moves them all the way across midfield. It's 1st and 10 from the 45. Favre's throw here hauled in by Cup. And he gets this inside the 35-yard line. Now another timeout called for by the offense as the clock's going to stop with 47 seconds to go in half number 1. So they'll come up 1st and 10 now from the 33. Throwing is far. And looking for Kittle, but it's intercepted. Picked off by the 8-time Pro Bowler Steve Atwater. And he will return this one to the 30-yard line.
Well, this had trouble written all over from the start. He's got 2 extra defensive backs in the game he's got to deal with. They're in a dime set. So everywhere he's looking, he's seeing a different color jersey. And sure enough, this one winds up being intercepted.
Now the AFC making their way out, and it's one of Coach's favorites, another local guy, Tom Brady, who will be at the controls. And boy, Coach always admired the way number 12 could run an offense, and especially his ability to stay calm under pressure.
Tom Brady is a guy who's always looking downfield. He never looks at the rush. He hangs in the pocket, and he makes a throw. He's a cool guy. He's a tough guy. Let me tell you, there's no one calmer in the pocket than Tom Brady.
And I know that Coach has a great appreciation for Tom Brady, who turned 45 back on August 3rd, because Coach coached a guy like him in George Blanda, who played a long time in the NFL. In this game, it features legends and active players. Tom Brady qualifies as both.
Brady's incompletion on first down leads to a 2nd and 10. He's going deep for Brown. The ball popped in the air and intercepted. Picked up by Jalen Ramsey. And his guys have got it back at the closing stages of the first half. He'll take the knee, and the final couple seconds will tick by. And then coming up in the second half, we'll run through John's post-coaching triumphs. But for now, we present a special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by the Raiders' own Trey Mosley. The AFC going to get the football first here as we are back underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy game. Dante Hall going to bring it out of the end zone. And he's able to get this across the 20, but not by much, as he's marked down officially at the 21. The AFC offense heading back out. You know, Charles, Coach really loved to utilize his tight ends in the passing game. You think about Dave Casper, Hall of Famer for those great Raider teams. And I think he saw a lot of Dave Casper in an all-Madden staple, Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is the type of tight end I think everyone's looking for. He's a guy that can make some big plays from that tight end position. Let me tell you, you better make sure you have him accounted for on every play.
And that's exactly right, because Dave Casper, he could shred defenses down the middle of the field. And that's exactly what Tony Gonzalez did in his entire career. A 14-time Pro Bowl selection. Only Tom Brady has more. There are 6 guys in the 15,000-yard receiving club. He's the only tight end in there. Tony Gonzalez, every snap he had to know where he was, because he could make plays short, medium, and long, and often put the ball in the end zone.
And he's going to get this down to the 35-yard line. So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42, he had just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, it was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember, he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
Now a throw to the end zone on first down, but it winds up incomplete.
Those throwing windows get a lot tighter near the end zone, don't they? And here's the thing. You already probably have 3 points in your hip pocket. You force a throw here and give up an interception, you come away with nothing.
And they're going to get him. He's sacked back around the 28. And now they're in the hurry-up. Now on 3rd and long, they'll look to throw. Flush to his right. And he's going to go down again. Reggie White drops him again for the 2nd straight play, and it brings up 4th down.
Now that was a passer's nightmare. The front door totally shut down by the defense, so he kept going backwards, hoping to find another avenue of escape. It didn't exist.
They'll go for it. It's Brady. And he'll get this into the hands of Hill, complete. And he's not able to get away. He is stopped well short of a first down. The AFC went for it, and it doesn't work out. And as a result, possession switches hands. The offense for the NFC ready to get their next drive started. And both of these defenses have been stifling these last few drives offensively. Just not able to get anything going. So what needs to change?
I think a lot of the guys will go back and review, so to speak, because everyone has someone assigned to how did each play work. Okay, what did we use that kind of worked for us during this game? Try and get back to some of those plays, as well as the possibility of showing something you haven't shown already in this game and trying to change things up.
We'll see if they take the advice of Mr. Davis. They'll throw on first down with Favre. And Sanders has got it complete. And he is going to lose yardage here. So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on and called 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team.
Back now here on EA Sports. One of the bigger plays in the game thus far, and the crowd getting into it as we come up on a big third down. Here's Favre to throw. He's going to float this one deep right side. And that's caught inside the 35. And he takes this one down almost all the way to the 30. An excellent gain, 35 yards. On the draw, here's Sanders. Shifts by him. And inside the 20 before he's brought down. As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you're talking about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him, and now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving, when you use words like boom and pow. He helped create the All-Madden team. He was a very popular commercial pitch man. And even the Madden Cruiser was unique, and you had to be someone to get a ride on it, too.
Possibly a turning point. Big play coming. This is 3rd and long. Now Favre. And that will be incomplete.
What an excellent defensive stand there in the red zone. Nice tight coverage. They certainly recognized how important it was to bring up 4th down here.
Anderson's kick is good. And they take the lead here now at 10-7. So he waited on the sideline for his first chance in the ballgame, and it didn't come until the 4th quarter, but he connects there. A big one to give him the lead.
Boy, you talk about coming in cold. I don't care how many times you kick it into a net. You're not really ready when you go out there and all that beef is coming at you trying to block the kick. Big spot, and he delivers.
And it's a pretty good return here as he'll get this up to the 29. The AFC offense set to take their next drive. And now they find themselves trailing following the field goal. Still a good amount of time in this 4th quarter, but this drive very well could determine the outcome of this ballgame. Looking to speed things up here, going with some tempo. Now a carry for Allen. And some room to work. And he'll be taken down, but not before they work it across midfield. 57 yards rushing for him now, and he's carried the ball just 5 times. So the AFC with the football as we welcome you back. They come up on a 1st and 10, desperately needing a score here on what could be their final drive. To throw is Brady. And this throw a bit late as he couldn't reach back for it. Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for. And it's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 1980s, and now known the world over simply as Madden.
And Coach saw this originally as a way to teach the game of football. The early designs were for a 7-on-7 game, but he said no chance. He would not sign off on it. He wanted to be as realistic as possible. He told them, call me when it's 11 on 11. And he got his wish.
Yeah, after that debut, Madden the video game continued to pick up steam through the 90s in a big way. And John himself, many will remember, was a commentator for the series for many years. And now here we are in the 2020s, and this game has sold somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 million copies. Now the AFC going to take a timeout. It's their second as they stop it here with just under 40 seconds to go in the game. Now Brady got to have this one. Well, that's complete to the fullback, Ricard. And he is going to have enough for an AFC first down. So how about that? They risk it on fourth down, and they're rewarded. And he can't get a throw off. He's taken down. What a huge play at this point in the game. So maybe just a momentary setback on what's been a great drive so far, but 2nd and 13 here. Now Brady. Got a man on the right sideline. That's Gonzalez. A nice pickup of 14, and it moves the stick, sets up a 1st and goal. And he did exactly what they needed him to do, Charles. Got out of bounds. They have no timeouts.
And they knew that before the play even began. Still executed it. How many times have we seen it happen where you know it, and a guy's still looking for a timeout or trying to stay in bounds? He got it done.
Back to throw, Brady. And he takes a shot on the release as this will be incomplete. Maybe some temptation here to try to go for the win, but I think you got to kick the field goal.
I agree totally. When you look at the time left on the clock, that's not a spot where you take the gamble. Go ahead and kick the field goal here and take it from there.
So now with 6 seconds remaining, we get a timeout on the field. So here we go. Maybe the biggest kick of the game forthcoming. This to potentially send us to overtime. And this is no good. Oh, by a matter of inches, he missed it wide to the right. And instead of tying it up, they'll remain down by 3. Pressure kick, and I thought he was going to hit it. I thought we were destined for overtime, but not the case.
Not at all, and they were already planning for the overtime you just mentioned, already saying, okay, what are we going to do if we get the ball? What happens on defense? Instead of that celebration and that little bit of euphoria, it turned into letdown city.
So it's a win here for the NFC. Just an incredible afternoon of football and remembering the life of John Madden. And before we go, one final message. And for all of us at EA Sports, this one's for you, Coach.
I just say this, I thank you all very much. This has been the sweetest ride of them all.
Time to decide how you're going to make your Madden NFL 23 debut. You could put yourself back on the game's biggest stage and raise that Lombardi in Super Bowl 56.